No, good to go?
Yep.
All right, do you want to just kind of lead it off and open up for questions?
Sure.
Just kind of what we've been doing here.
Well, today's roundtable for the Bureau of Land Management headquarters in Grand Junction, Colorado was a huge success. We had stakeholders who were articulate and making the case for keeping the headquarters here in Grand Junction. And I am so thrilled that the Western Caucus and Chairman Dan Newhouse are supporting us in this effort. I refuse to allow extremist organizations take this away from our communities, take these employees away from our community, take the impact away that the Bureau of Land Management has from our communities. We need a voice. We are drowned out by cities like Denver and Washington, D.C., and we need a strong presence. And so I will do everything that I can to fight to keep the Bureau of Land Management headquarters here in Grand Junction and supporting the local communities. I believe that these decisions are best made when people work, live, and raise their families right here in the communities where they are most impacted. The Bureau of Land Management headquarters should remain in Grand Junction, period. And now I would like to turn it over to Chairman Dan Newhouse, Congressman from Washington's 4th District.
Well, thank you, Congresswoman Boebert. It's a pleasure to be here in Colorado and to help lend my voice, as well as the voice of the Western Caucus, toward what I think is a really critical issue. You know, moving the headquarters of the Bureau of Land Management to Colorado, to Grand Junction, was a huge step forward for decentralizing our U.S. government and bringing those critical federal employees out and to interface with those communities that the decisions they make most impact. So I think this is a tremendous step forward in bringing our government closer to the people, and it's a very important thing that we should continue to do. Listening to the voices of the folks here in this area and expressing what their perspective is on the importance of this kind of decision truly was a very moving experience. The benefit that people in just a short amount of time have seen, not only economically to the communities, which is big, it truly is, but to allow people here on the ground to have input into very important decisions, critical decisions that can impact not only Western Colorado, but I'd like to say the whole Western United States. It's very important that we continue this presence here. So I thank Congresswoman Boebert for putting this roundtable together. I want to thank all the members of the community, both here in Grand Junction as well as all around Western Colorado, for lending their voices to this very important issue. And I think with a team effort like this, we can truly be successful in keeping the national office here of the Bureau of Land Management. So thank you.
Do y'all have any questions for them that y'all have asked about the meeting?
Sure.
We have
One or two more people want to get comments. President Van Winkle, do you want to?
Yes.
Sure. I'm Janie Van Winkle, president of...
Can you step up to the
Closer?
Yes,
Okay. You're Gary. I'm Janie Van Winkle, president of Colorado Cattlemen's Association and owner of Van Winkle Ranch here in Mesa County. And one of the very important aspects that we see having the BLM headquarters in the West is that we have folks with relevant and recent experience making decisions. And as I said earlier, we certainly make better decisions when we're kicking the dirt in the corral around the livestock and the land that we steward, and I believe that's true of these decision makers.
Go ahead. Scott.
Good morning, Scott Jones from Motorized Trails Users End of the World. We support BLM headquarters staying here in Grand Junction. We have a rather unique program. It is very difficult to explain in a comment or a letter or anything else, and to that getting people's hands dirty and that kind of stuff. We explain really well once we get people on the ground and go, hey, this is what this is doing, and this is this resource, and this is how we benefit other multiple uses, and we collaborate, you know, to get problems solved on the ground. That type of communication has been hugely successful since BLM has moved here, and we fully support keeping BLM headquarters here in Grand Junction.
All All right, put people on the spot.
I'm Bonnie Brown. I'm the executive director for the Colorado Wool Growers Association. And over the years, it's become increasingly more difficult, more expensive to go back to DC. Once you get back there, it's difficult to get around because of security. The agencies are becoming increasingly more inaccessible, so when you are back there, you have less time to interact. So it's really important to keep the BLM out here on the west. They need to be out here on the landscape. In particular, the issue with the feral horses, having the management from DC out here now on the landscape will hopefully enable them to make better decisions now on a landscape basis when we look at habitat issues.
Hi, I'm Christian Reese, Executive Director of Club 20. And Club 20 is supportive of keeping the BLM in the West because Western Colorado is more than 70% public lands. So when bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. are making decisions that impact these federal lands, they have direct consequences to our local government, to our local economies, to our public services that are provided, our law enforcement, our fire, our transportation infrastructure. There are direct impacts as a result of the decisions that are made by the Bureau of Land Management. And by decentralizing that office and moving it out toward the west, we hope that those decision makers can see those direct impacts. You know, there's a big misunderstanding between what public lands are in the east as opposed to what public lands are in the west. When you go to the east part of the United States, public lands are Central Park in New York, not 70% of the landscape that makes up Western Colorado. So having a real understanding of what these lands look like and how those decisions impact our direct lives is critical to really fostering the relationship between Westerners and the BLM office. So we are extremely supportive of retaining that office in Grand Junction, and we appreciate the work by Congresswoman Boebert and Congressman Newhouse here today. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. I'm Carlisle Currier, President of Colorado Farm Bureau, the largest agriculture organization. BLM is very important to agricultural production in Colorado because we're so dependent on public lands grazing. But use of BLM is also very important to the economy of our local communities around Colorado, whether it's oil and gas development, outdoor recreation, hunting, fishing. Those all benefit local communities as well as agriculture. It's very important that people that are making the decisions and managing those activities are close to the land where they can go out and see it instead of sitting 1,000 miles away, sitting in an office. We're very supportive of keeping the BLM office here in Grand Junction, and we thank the Congresswoman for putting this together. Thank you.
Lois, last one, but not least.
Hi, Lois Dunn. I'm Chairman of Government Affairs for the Grand Junction Area Realtors, and the Realtors have supported the move from the beginning. We support continuing staying here. We're always hit with mandates and regulations, and we would like to see policy decisions made right here on the ground with people that see the land. Thank you.
All right.